But you persist. You put us down, we rise again. You end one plot, we forge another. You try so hard, but it always ends the same. Those who know you think you mad, and this is why. Even those men you sought to save have turned their backs on you. Yet you fight. You resist. Why?
Because no one else will.
Rough night, was it? He headed inland, took a ferry up the Charles River.
I will need passage as well.
Of course. Only say the word.
Why would they leave this behind?
Long have we waited for you to return. You have done as we asked. You have succeeded.
No! I have failed! My people are gone! Chased out by those who I thought would protect them!
It is a trade, a sacrifice, and not in vain. For you have found it.
This?
Now you must hide it, where none shall think to look, and then in time, what once was, shall be again.
I do not understand.
Nor need you. Only do as we ask. Then, you may do as you wish.
But what of my people?
You have saved this place, as was your people's purpose, and that matters most.
It is not enough.
It will never be enough. You strive for that which does not exist. Still, you have made a difference, and you will do so again. Remember, you must hide the amulet where none might find it.
I know where the key is. Then let's go! All right, time to see what's inside.
Not quite. We still need to get the place powered up.
Find the remaining pedestals and plug in the power sources.
I'm on it.
A new world approached, one that was dark and cold. It would consume us, for we were flesh, and flesh is frail. Though suits and shields might offer comfort, such adornments would not suffice, not to save us all. So we sought to change what we were. In this manner, we might thrive in a world made poisonous. It was Aita who volunteered to see if it might be done. Aita, my husband, my love. In the end, it changed him, ruined him. He was made a prisoner of the machines. The body might survive, but his mind became brittle to the touch. He begged me for release, for days, for weeks, for months. I pleaded with him to give us time to find another way. But there wasn't one. Not for him. Not for us.
There's one thing that's always confused me with regards to any technologically advanced species. Why do people have this need to want to dress them in clothes resemble that of ancient times? A more Hyperion, futuristic version of something from the past. When you think of the future, you always think of unidentifiable things because you can't identify it because it's so distant from you. That's why it's called distant future, things you cannot comprehend. If you see a pair of clothes on someone, it comes from a distant future, a distant stars, but yet you could comprehend it and it's not so distant, then it's not so distant. If you could comprehend, then it's not that unrelated. And if it's not that unrelated, then it's not that alien. I guess you could say that's the only way to make something make sense to people. If I could make it somewhat human and relatable, then it's not that foreign to me. But that's just personal hubris. Because how would you know what the future looked like? No one knows.
What is consciousness but a series of electrical impulses? And the body a vessel to hold these sparks. But it is weak. In time, it decays, and crumbles to dust. We asked ourselves then, what if it might be replaced with something stronger, something better? So we forged a new vessel, one that might endure. It proved easy enough to enter. But to leave required something more, something wrong. And so this too they abandoned. I wondered, though, were they right to turn away?
Yeah, I think about these things every now and again. Why do people have this? I read about it in science fiction because I read science fiction a lot. Not from something from a online article or anything. It's just that it's strange. Like, I understand within a century, generations within a century, but once you go past 100 years, maybe 200 years most, you're really going into uncharted territory. Because it takes, for instance, a pair of genes. But let's say genes were used back then, 500 years ago. Where would it be used? Exactly where? It wasn't popularized. It wasn't even categorized within a small group of people. Merchants would eventually catch on to it within that century that they're in, and days within a year passes slowly but surely in time. Then minimum of 10 years, everyone would have known what the genes was in that demographic of that country that they're in. Minimum of, let's say, give it, since things weren't technologically advanced and people couldn't travel by planes and stuff then, give it 100 years from the time it was known. It would have still been known within that 100-year marker. So I would say I find it strange when people use current clothing and styles to replicate their ancestors. Applies to anything, to be honest with you. These people are supposed to be technologically advanced, but their style is comprehensible by our species. I mean, you could say the Egyptians have attire that they wear in clothes that we could comprehend and see. A hat is a hat, a shirt is a shirt, a kilt or a pants is a pants. But they're not the same. The thing that they are by their descriptive name. A thing you wear on your head, a hat, is not the same as the hat from current times to 700 years ago. It's not the same thing. It's by its description what it is, but it's not the same thing. A car in current times now, a vehicle that moves with wheels. If a car doesn't need wheels in the future and doesn't need to be on the ground anymore, is it really a car anymore? It's like, well, what defines a car? Really, what defines a car? Rectangular shape? What if the rectangular shape of something in the future looks nothing like a car? Or if the wheels are what defines a car as a car in a rectangular shaped form, and I could think of anything with wheels in a rectangular shaped form that doesn't need to be on the ground. And if that's so, if it's only limited to wheels and to shape and to rectangular form and limited amount of people and distance and everything I just said, then if in the future people don't even need that, they get into something like a circular, and there are no such things as cars anymore, and people don't need it anymore to travel from place to place. So how would you know what the future is like if the definition of what they call a car is no longer what you would identify as a car anymore, in the slightest? So I always find it funny when people identify these things in video games, say that these advanced species or classification of Stargate and how species are and how cultures are and aliens are. Like, how would you know what anything in the future is like? You don't know. When you first saw the alien in the first movie, where they came from, where the eggs came from, how they pop out the chest, the thing that was sitting in that big seat, in that throne, that the alien popped out of, that giant-sized creature, that was a giant-sized man inside of a suit. But for years, more than more than 2 decades, depending on how long, more than 15 years, no one knew that it was a man in the suit. They actually thought that that was how that person's face was. They didn't realize that that was a style of that species times of how they wear a spacesuit or a space helmet inside of a suit, or their idea of a uniform with regards to a spacesuit. That would be considered distance. When something is so alien to you, you can't fathom why a human being would want to wear a helmet that looks like it's a living face with a trunk on it, and their bodies look like skeletons on the outside. Even though they have long, janky arms and long, janky legs, and they look alien, the exoskeleton looked alien in form. It was very much a human inside of that alien-looking thing. So why would people do that? Or why would species advance themselves to do that? That would be considered something to be alien. Though they weren't of our species, they were a different alien race. It's us creating the concept of what something would look similar to us. That's either distance in time or distance in space. It did a good job with regards to this. I think Prometheus showed the first appearance of how a giant-sized human man as an alien would look. That's almost perfect, with hardly any faults. So that makes sense. Though the face, however, the mouths, the eyes, I don't think that makes any sense whatsoever at all. It's too on the nose towards human characteristics. Unless that's fine if you're considering the norms, such as throw a penny up in the air, penny falls on the ground, gravity. So if this is the norms, that there's such a thing as a jawline, a mouth, a nose, and 2 eyes to identify the similarities of our species and our heritage, the things that look somewhat similar to us, then that's correct. We've never met an alien, so we never know how an alien clothes would look and an alien face would look in relation to our species. So it's still distant and unidentifiable.
Moment of truth.
Yes. Come. Here, at last. You know our story now. Of how we tried. Of how we failed. All our hopes extinguished. Save one. Your touch. A spark. A spark to save the world.
Wait! Do not touch the pedestal.
Minerva?
You. But how? You left! You destroyed the device!
Did you think there was only one?
What the hell is going on here?
You must not free her.
Free her?
Juno dwells within these walls, awaiting release. I will explain. While we worked to save the world, she sought instead to conquer it. She used our machines to set her plans in motion. Divination through numbers. There is a pattern to existence. To comprehend the calculations is to tame time. This was my focus. And so I built the eye to aid us. But she turned it towards her own ends. When we discovered her treachery, we put a stop to it. And then we left. But first we called to you, that you might try again. We thought it would be safe with her gone. Now I see we were deceived. She survived, she endured, and then she began to work. For centuries, Tinia and I walked the world, hoping to rekindle the spark of civilization. We shared what we knew as best we could. We were not the only ones, but for all the power we wrought, still death would claim us. But before it did, I would have one last look to know if we had succeeded.
That's how you're here now?
I had hoped you might find this place and finish our work. But it is too late. You and the Templars have squabbled over our refuse. You have wasted centuries, and so you have lost your chance. You cannot hope to stop the end now, Desmond. Only to survive.
She's lying! Only touch the pedestal and the world will be saved.
Better the world burn than she be loosed upon it.
Is that so? Show him then.
But he will not understand. It is complicated. It is...
Show me.
If you heed Minerva, the sun will have its way. The ground will crack and spit fire into the skies. All the world will burn. But this does not end the world, merely heralds its arrival. Darkness follows. Then you emerge, resolving to lay a foundation that such a tragedy does not befall the world again. You will become a symbol to those who survive. Hope, knowledge, determination. You will inspire them to rebuild, to thrive once more. And as the world heals, so too will humanity. But you are just a man, frail and mortal. You pass from the world, leaving behind only a memory. A legacy. You will be remembered first as a hero, later as a legend, and in time, as a god. It is the cruelest fate, to have written words that meant well, and see them made wicked and unwise. What was meant to encourage life, used instead to justify taking it. And so now you see that what was shall be again. So tell me, how is this better? She would sacrifice you, sacrifice the world, for no other reason than to deny me vindication.
They will enslave your kind, Desmond. Is this not why you fight? Is this not why you came here? To ensure more than just your race's future, but its freedom?
What future? What freedom? Billions dead and the whole cycle begun anew? This world has known nothing but heartache and horror since we left it.
Our gift to them, and you'd see it all returned.
Enough!
You must not do this.
Whatever Juno's planning, however terrible it might seem today, we'll find a way to stop it. But the alternative, what you want, there's no hope there.
If you free her, you'll be destroyed.
It will happen in an instant. There will be no pain.
You mustn't.
It's done, Minerva. The decision's made.
Then the consequences of this mistake are yours to live and die with.
You need to go. All of you. Now. Get as far away from here as you can.
Come with us. We'll find another way.
There isn't time.
Son.
You know it's true. It's already started. I need to do this now. So go. Go!
It's some sort of global aurora borealis. Never seen anything like this before. Eyewitnesses describe electrical storms and erratic displays of unusual weather. Residents are being asked to remain inside and wait for geological surveys are now reporting seismic activity throughout the Ring of Fire. Northeastern Canada is said to be experiencing the largest on record. Satellites and transformers are failing as the flare increases in intensity. Worldwide reports of blackouts seems to be receding. Residual seismic and volcanic activity is being reported, but nothing approaching earlier levels. Obviously, it'll be a while before experts are able to assess the full extent of the damage caused by today's event. But it appears the worst is behind us. We'll be sure to bring you more as this story develops.
It is done. The world is saved. You played your part well, Desmond. But now it's time that I played mine.
She was a damn Templar, man. I don't care what anyone says. She's a Templar. If you listen to what Hathan says, if you listen to what Charles Lee said, Pitcairn, and everyone through the journey from the very beginning, Juno might have been slicing it in a different way, but in the end, it's the same story. She's a damn Templar. Hathan said the same thing. You want to see the same cycle happen all over and over again by weak men in control when they could do something to keep it in power and keep things stable as long as they're the one in charge to make sure it stays that way. Damn Hitler types. They're all the same. However, in this situation, this is a more extreme version of it. The world was going to be destroyed. Minerva knew about it. Juno knew about it. The assassins through centuries somewhat knew about it. But they didn't get the whole picture because it was never revealed until this game. So, Juno is free. She's not really a Templar. Templars are associated with humans, but she's a damn Templar if I would say so myself. Her behavior says otherwise. Regardless of what her actions and beliefs are. It was the same thing Charles Lee was spitting. It was the same thing Hathan was spitting. He fell right into the trap because he knew that the best option was the one to take rather than the worst option, what was the one running fighter right in front of you right now. the world being destroyed, and then has to start anew, and people have to go back into caveman era times and back all over again, start all over again. He wasn't going to let that happen to the world. In all honesty, I would probably do the same thing in this place. However, here's the thing, whereas there's a little break in the story. He was supposed to ask Minerva what to do in the case. If Minerva says there's no other way, then there's an irrationale with regards to things that are supposed to be futuristic or alien and superior in species with regards to knowledge over us. They would understand the multiple different ways, no matter how many variables, and he could pick one out of those variables to me, which is most logical, even if it's intangible or even if it's very small. But there was no options because the people who made the story didn't give one. That was the loop, or not loophole, but that was the hole in the chassis. That didn't really make sense to me. But like, okay, so I now get a sense of who Juno and Minerva is, but there was supposed to be more fleshing out with regards to the decision, not jumping the gun right then and there. If you know Juno's bad, if it's revealed now that Juno's bad, and she's Templar-esque, then nothing good could come out of her existence. But you know the alternative is worse. So in the end, he sided with someone who's Templar-esque. So he's not Connor. Desmond isn't Connor. I could say that he's kind of greater than Connor, but not really. Because Connor stuck to his assassin rules. Even when those who were before him didn't stick to it, follow through, even if it led to his death. I would say out of all the assassins, Connor seems to be the most forthright with regards to seeing a thing through, even if it meant his life. Same say with regards to Desmond. But if it was between Desmond and Connor, was to make the decision, I would say Connor in some ways is more immature than Desmond, but in some ways is more virtuous. In many ways is more virtuous than Desmond. He don't bend the knee. And that's why I like this Assassin's Creed game. Not just because it has Native Americans in it, Native American Indians in it, and a time of 18th century when America was still being formed. I like this game because I remember the ending, and thankfully I still enjoy what I thought with regards to Juno and Minerva. From last time, years down the road, I still have a stable strength and belief in it. Connor might have done the same thing to save the world, not just to save his people. That's a story for another time. My words get jumbled up when I'm excited over something. So that's it for this video. This is my last video with Assassin's Creed. The next video with Assassin's Creed would be with regards to just reminiscing things I haven't finished. It's a good game. Not the greatest Assassin's Creed game, but it was worth it. For the times, for Thanksgiving, and to remember where we came from.